everybody's longing to come back home, back
Mhm.
to that deep connection to source, right? To where we've been longing since day dot. And I think this is the thing that we all are doing that for one another, where that longing is there in each of us. So when we feel safe inside ourselves, when we honor those desires to feel protected out from within ourselves, right? What we're doing is we're walking all those parts of ourselves back home.
I'm Colleen Akiko, and this is episode 2 of Our Inner Ecology, Walking Ourselves Back Home. My conversation with artist and healer, Jhana Bowen. Before we begin, I want to offer a gentle contents note. This conversation includes a personal story involving suicide and suicidal thoughts. Please care for yourself as you listen and pause or step away if you need to. In this episode, we explore the protective intelligence that reminds us not everyone or everything is safe to open to, and the deeper question beneath it: how do we honor the parts of ourselves that protect us without allowing protection to cut us off from connection? Jhana invites us to consider what happens when we stop exiling the parts of ourselves that feel frightened, wounded, or difficult, and instead begin walking them back home.
I am not going to open up to just anyone. Those protective mechanisms serve a purpose, and we learn to collaborate with that intelligence in a way that supports connection.
I find myself, when I notice that, something is just bugging me, sometimes a little irritation, or sometimes it is really stressing me out. If I remember that I'm intact here, and from that place of remembering, as you said, from my home base, when I notice something and inquire, it's more like a curiosity. I say, oh,
Exactly.
how interesting that this is bothering me so much. I wonder what's behind that. And
Yeah.
always it's for our good. Always.
Mm. Mm.
Doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy road to glean that lesson or come to a freer place, but it's always worth it.
That's right.
It can be kind of difficult to believe that sometimes, but as you were
Mm.
talking about community and belonging, what a blessing when we have someone alongside us just to help us remember what we know deep
And I
down.
think that's essential, Colleen, right? Like everybody's longing to come back home, back
Mhm.
to that deep connection to source, right? To where we've been longing since day dot. And I think this is the thing is that we all are doing that for one another, where that longing is there in each of us. So when we feel safe inside ourselves, when we honor those desires to feel protected within ourselves, right? What we're doing is we're walking all those parts of ourselves back home. And we know
Mm.
that our despair, our joy, our fears, all those parts have a rightful place in our ecosystem. And when
Mhm.
they are no longer exiled, when we don't push them away anymore, we say each has a time and place to be seen, told. They don't run the show every single moment, but they have a time and
Mm.
place. And that's how we step into integration. And then we can hold our community and we
Mhm.
can show up to love others. As we have that capacity to hold ourselves, and we have that capacity to really hold others. Because being human is not that easy. But being divine is our
Uh-huh.
capacity to enter into right relationship. So when we drop into really letting go of the stuff, like you mentioned, change, that's the nature of life. Now, we don't change and grow if we don't know how to let go.
Yes.
And when we let go, we enter into the divine. And that's where right relationship happens. And
Mm.
we know how to maintain our inner circle, and we know how to expand out into that broader circle. And I think that's really important, that we hold our parts and know how to nurture ourselves. And then we hold our loved ones. We know where
Mm.
to let go, and we know how to be held and how to open up and be vulnerable.
I was reading something recently about surrender, how when we are in that trusting, surrendered place, that energy of surrender, we are at our utmost level of responsibility, of being responsible, of being able to respond in all the ways that you just talked about and more. And what a blissful energy that is. We have to discover our wings.
Absolutely. And that's the alchemy, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I did a series of paintings I just want to share called The Leap of Faith. And it
Mm-hmm.
was how I actually ended up coming over to the States and meet you, the
Mm-hmm.
lady that I ended up marrying when I came over to California. I met in Australia, and I was painting this series of paintings called The Leap of Faith.
Mm-hmm.
And she came along to my exhibition, and The Leap of Faith was all about just taking that step that life calls us to take,
Mm-hmm.
and everything shows up when we're willing to take that step. Like we don't know when we're about to be born that everything is going to support us or not. The bird
Mm-hmm.
that leaps off the branch doesn't say,
Yes.
oh, well, is breakfast going to be there? Is lunch going to be there?
So
You
many
know?
things to think about.
Yeah.
Well, you are such a unique package of a person. How did you get here, Jhana? I'm trying to remember what I
How did we
know
all
of
get
your
here?
upbringing. You have a story, and you're a very sensitive soul. And you do some very fine-tuned processing with the art and with the music. And I'm wondering, how did you get your roots so deep and the capillaries
Mm,
on those roots just seeking out the nourishment that you need to not only be intact as a person, but to be present, as you said before, with an undiluted presence with
mm.
others and for yourself. Yeah. Do you
I think
remember the turning points for you?
there's a few of those. You know, one turning point that comes to mind right now, I was standing up at Eagle Rock, Truckee, Tahoe, California, and Gaia and I don't know if we were married at that time, but I was struggling finding work, and I was missing Australia. I didn't have a strong social support network, and she was working a lot. So as a man, that was very challenging to be supported by a woman. And
Mm.
I felt emasculated. I felt I wasn't in my power. And my mother had suicided in 2002. And the interesting
Mm.
thing was she jumped off a cliff. I found myself in a deep depression, walked up and was at the edge of a cliff. And all of a sudden I'm there and I'm like, oh my God, how did I get here? And why
Mm.
do I feel like jumping off this cliff?
Mm.
And I just literally started crying, tears and tears and tears. And I remember thinking to myself, if my spiritual practice counts for anything, this is the moment that it
Mm.
makes all the difference.
Mm.
And all these tears were just streaming down my face. And I was just like, there's no escape
Mm.
from human suffering. There's nowhere to run.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to end if I jump.
Right.
That's how my mother went. And I
Mm-hmm.
could see this in family constellations therapy. That Mark Wallen wrote this book called It Didn't Start With You.
Mm.
And I really saw that intergenerational trauma. I could see it directly, very clearly. And at that moment, I just made peace with that suffering. I knew that there was no escaping it. And I
Mm-hmm.
turned around that day and walked away from that cliff, knowing that that was a significant turning point in my life
Yes.
of starting to hold myself, starting to
Yes.
hold suffering. I found a scarf that day on the Eagle Rock there and brought it with me just a reminder. I don't have that scarf anymore, but that place in my heart remains. And yeah, I think, each of us have those significant markers in our lives where we're all different. We all have different experiences, we're all unique, but we are all touched deeply by life, and we all have our protective mechanisms. So we want all to feel safe, and I don't think we're different in that. How we respond is everything. I really don't think we can ever escape human suffering, no matter how much we try. And I think the catalyst is that transformation really is in making peace with that. Every saint had to go through that. And from my studies, we look at shamanism. Every soul, every healer goes into those depths of human consciousness to recover our true selves. And we don't do that without some measure of suffering.
Yes. And what a gift when we have someone to remind us that this is part of why we are here in the body, to know that this suffering doesn't demolish us. It teaches us, and it can have the effect of chipping away all that is not who we are and showing us what is the illusion and what is the deeper reality.
Yeah.
That's such a touching story of your experience on the cliff at Eagle Rock.
There are so many who haven't been able to hold their suffering, who pass over to the other side.
Yes.
And we grieve. We grieve them. We honor them in our grieving, in our sadness, I think we've all been touched by loss to some degree, and it's not that that's wrong. It's still a tragedy, and they're the footprints in our soul. We leave those guideposts to love, and they tell
that's
us
what I was thinking
stories.
too.
They tell the stories of our heart,
As an artist, I remember an experience when I was actually in high school. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I used to paint, and I had a teacher who was a Yamez Indian master watercolorist. And for some reason, he adopted me. I used to show my little paintings next to his and the art shows, and that was my delight, to learn all these wonderful ways of painting and color. And I remember one day in art class, he gathered everybody around, and he had a big painting that he'd been working on, a watercolor. And as far as I was concerned at that point, I'm like, wow, what a nice painting. This is really cool. What a great painting. And then it became apparent that he was going to paint on his painting. And part of me is like, oh no, you might mess it up. Don't do that. And he mixed some really dark brown and some dark blue, and he made as black could be and put more color in there, so it could not have been more black. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna ruin the painting. And he got the black so dense and so dark, and then he just put a few touches. Maybe he spent all of 60 seconds just touching here, touching there. I think it was a kind of a stylistic Southwest painting of a barn that was half broken down. The fence was a raggedy fence and some trees and things, and he just put the blackest black here and there in that painting, and it popped. The painting popped. It was like it brought it out into a different dimension, and that's what the dark did with that painting.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I think about that even when I have an opportunity to do art or to view art. But just the courage that it takes to put the darkness in the picture, and until we experience coming through that dark night of the soul, it's hard to appreciate how much more beautiful our whole our life can be when that includes the darkness.
I wonder if we could do an exercise together, and all our listeners might be interested to join us in integrating those parts that we usually don't want to have in the field, because I get the sense that it's so powerful to really, on a physiological and a psychological level, to really embody those aspects. And once we come into wholeness, I think this is the journey that Jesus went through, the Buddha went through, and all the saints, to really come into that sense of wholeness.
I'd love it.
Yeah. So let's just take a moment to get comfortable. So if everybody wants to find a spot, hopefully you're not driving, and just to take a few deep breaths. Maybe close your eyes if they're not already closed, and just get a sense of a global experience of having a body, your connection to country, to the planet. And it's not something that you need to try to go looking for. It's something that's already here. So every cell in the body knows what it needs to do. Every bone, every organ, every muscle is in right relationship to the rest of the field, in wholeness, from birth to now, from conception to this moment. And let's take a few moments to really listen to this intelligence that's not only operating through each of us, each body, but also to the field that this intelligence expresses itself through. It's the one intelligence moving through all of life. And it's not that we need to get somewhere or find certain something, but it's just opening up to and being receptive to this one intelligence. We're listening through the body, through the psyche, through the dreaming body. We're listening to nature, and we're a part of everything already. And let's just bring into this space of deep listening an awareness of parts of ourselves that we may have distanced ourselves from. And the way we know what we've distanced ourselves from is those parts that feel unlovable, uncomfortable, and they are usually repressed into our unconscious. It's what we usually term as our triggers, our protective mechanisms. And usually they come with a lot of emotion. And that's part of our intelligence. That's part of our psyche. That's part of the greater body, the field. And let's open compassionately to the wisdom that's in that. So I'm inviting you to love those parts of yourself, those parts of the intelligence, holding these parts of ourselves with reverence. It's not that we have to do anything, it's just listening deeply to how this is intrinsically a part of us, a part of the whole collective field of who we are. And who we are is reflected throughout all of life. It's how life expresses itself. And just come into your breath, into your body expressed as life itself. And the invitation is to trust this expression of life. So life is happening for me and not to me. And as we really step into this, it may reveal itself to you as an opening into a greater degree of comfort rather than discomfort. The parts start to become integrated, start to open and express themselves as more life-affirming as you become more embodied. And you might imagine a greater degree of presence, of aliveness. You might experience a greater degree of connection across the field of your awareness, and just invite you to expand, to explore beyond the periphery of your current state, to include your environment, to include the space. So you're aware of the body and the internal spaces inside your body. And from that awareness, include the space around you, whether you're in a room or outside. That awareness of space inside your body is now including the space around your body. And then further outside of that, the entire house or the space around you, the trees, the animals, the neighborhood, the horizon. This is the community that we are intrinsically a part of. So we are the rivers, the mountains, the sky, the planet, and all of humanity. And just get a sense of that ecosystem that stretches out from within to around. So the inner global ecosystem and the outer global ecosystem is one expression of intelligence. Listen, it's not that you have to get to some place that's imagined, it's actually already present. And just notice what that feels like as a lived experience. And then just beginning to come back to present time awareness, body in the room, in the space, wherever you're sitting. You might hear some sounds around you, birds chirping, sounds of the forest or the neighborhood, feet on the floor, your bum on the chair, sound of my voice. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes.
Thank you, Jhana. That felt for me like honey, golden honey. Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of Our Inner Ecology with Jhana Bowen, called Walking Ourselves Back Home. As you move back into your day, you might carry this question with you. What part of you has been waiting to be welcomed home, not corrected, overcome, or pushed away? Jhana's visual art is also being featured in the restorative gallery inside the Bowl of Light Cafe. You are warmly invited to visit. Come spend time with his work and continue this reflection in community. You can find the cafe and everything connected with this episode through songrise.live. That's songrise.live. I'm Colleen Akiko. Thank you for listening, and may every part of you be feeling held and tenderly nurtured. Aloha.